Hello, my students. Greetings of the day. Welcome to Bangla Shikha Classroom 2025, an endeavor of Paschim Bongo Samagro Shikha Mission under the Education Department, Government of West Bengal. I am Mita Dotto, Assistant Teacher of Dokhinesha Sri Sri Sharoda Devi Balika Vidya Mandir. Today we are going to do the play Riders to the Sea by John Millington Synge. You have already done this play in your semester 3 where you answered multiple choice questions from the passage. So here in your semester 4 we are going to do Riders to the Sea again. We are going to recapitulate what we have learned in semester 3 and we will prepare for the descriptive type questions which will come in semester 4 pattern. So students, let us go into the play and start reading with introduction to John Millington Synge's life, who was born on 16th April 1871, and as you already know, he was popularly known as J.M. Synge, and he was a key figure in the Irish literary revival, where under the guidance of William Butler Yeats, who inspired him and advised him to go to the Aran Islands to collect some subjects from there, subjects from the life and livelihood of the people there, and write on that. He is regarded as one of the greatest dramatists of the early 20th century and is a key figure in the Irish literary revival. His plays were known for their realistic depiction of the Irish life because he lived there, he studied the life of the people there, and hence the landscape, the setting, the languages used were all first-hand experiences from the places he visited during his travels to the Irish villages. Synge suffered from Hodgkin's disease and he died very young at the age of 37 years, suffering from Hodgkin-related cancer. And it was on 24th March 1909 that we lost him. So this is one of the pictures you are now familiar with the play. So this is the three sisters, the three women, the main characters. We will learn about the symbolism in this play and then we will refer to the figure that is shown here about the three women here. And here are two horses. You know that Bartley was riding a red mare and Michael, who was never seen alive in the play, was riding a grey pony in the vision of Moria, his mother. And these horses too symbolize something that we are going to learn in the course of the play. So to recapitulate, the story of the poem Riders to the Sea takes place in the setting of a kitchen in the cottage located in the Aran Islands to the west of Ireland. As the play opens, we see Kathleen, who is a girl of around 20, doing some household work, and her younger sister Nora enters the kitchen carrying a bundle of clothes. And after confirming that Moria, their mother, is in the other room lying down, Nora and Kathleen try to find out what the bundle of clothes had, because it was given to them by the priest, who had got it from some men who had taken it off from the body of a man who was washed ashore. And their brother Michael was missing since 9 days. So the priest gave it to them to find out or to identify whether those clothes belonged to Michael, so that the death of Michael could be confirmed. So they did not open the bundle of clothes, because their mother, who was already grieving, if they see the clothes, she will become more sorrowful. So they hid it in the turf loft, and they planned to open it only after Moria was not there. So and in the meantime, Bartley was to go to the Galway fair to sell his 2 horses, one his own and another Michael's. But due to bad weather, and because Moria, the mother, has lost all the children to the sea, she did not want to lose Bartley and wanted to stop him, and even wanted the young priest to prevent Bartley from going to the sea. But Bartley listened to no one, and also the priest, he also thought that God would not take away the last living son from Moria. So he also did not prevent Bartley from going to the sea. So once Bartley is gone, Moria laments and is filled with negative thoughts, because somehow she anticipates that Bartley will not be coming back anymore. Bartley will die. And in the meantime, the sisters realized that they forgot to give Bartley the bread that they were making, the cake that they were making for Bartley to go and eat at Galway. So Moria is sent to Springwell to meet Bartley and delivered the cake to him there. And when Moria leaves, the 2 sisters, they quickly open the bundle of clothes, and from the stocking there, they identify from the stitches, it was 56 stitches that was there. The sisters had put 60 stitches and put off 4, so there were 56 stitches, which confirmed that the clothes they received, they identified that the clothes they received were of Michael, and Michael's death was confirmed. In the meantime, Moria comes back without delivering the cake to Bartley and sees that says that she had seen a very frightful vision of Bartley riding in a red horse and Michael following him in a grey horse. So that made Moria very nervous, and that was also a very bad omen that Bartley would die and never come back. Then Moria, when she thinks of or perceives of Bartley's death and also sees the ghost of Michael, she then reflects on all the deaths of all the men that had happened in her family. Her husband, his father, her 4 sons before the beginning of the play, and then Michael and Bartley die when we see the opening of the play. But before that, all the deaths that had happened, she had tried to recapitulate on that and was seeing the vision. So in the meantime, Bartley's body was also brought, because the grey pony kicked him off and he hit the rocks and died. So when his body was brought to the house, to the cottage, Moria was very, very confused that whether it was the body of Patch or it was the body of Michael. Why Patch? Because when Patch died, some women with red things on their head, they came and there was a body with water dripping from the body that was brought into. So Bartley's body was also brought in the same way. And that's why what happened? She was thinking of Patch. Michael was not to be found. Michael was missing since 9 days. And that Bartley could die was not yet in her head. So she was confused whether the body was of Patch or of Michael. So she is in a trance-like state and she sprinkles holy water and prays over Bartley's body, and she says that may everybody live peacefully. And she also, through the death of the last male member of her family, resigned to her fate that yes, this death by the sea is inevitable. All men, she realized that all men should die. So she realized the mortality of human beings and accepted her fate. Then this play is a one-act play. What are the characteristics of a one-act play? It is a single act play. It's not a very long play which are divided into multiple acts, and this is presented as one continuous events, and it is focused on one narrative and centers on a single and significant event or conflict or theme, whatever it is trying to say, and also explores all the development and resolution to that theme or that topic or event. There are limited characters. The number of characters is kept to as much as minimum as possible, and there's a clear main character who is the driving force of the plot. The play moves quite fast, the action moves quickly, and the characters and conflicts, whatever it is introduced early on into the play. And the play often relies on the character interactions and dialogues to convey the story. Like there are dialogues between two or more characters, and those dialogues bring out the theme or the subject of the story that the playwright is trying to say. Despite the brevity, one-act plays can explore complex themes. So no matter how small they are and how simply they are and how fast moving they are, one-act plays can explore and explain very complex themes and also very emotional themes that can really touch us. So one-act plays are typically very small ones. It runs from 10 minutes to 60 minutes, and usually the ones that are very short are very popular because in a small time a clear message is given. Now, how can we say that Riders to the Sea is a one-act play? It is a very short and concentrated play where the themes and dramatic actions all are focused on the grief and fate of Moria, the main character in this play. So whatever is happening around Moria's grief and her inescapable fate, which emphasizes the power of the sea. So we see that even if she is grief-stricken, she has to rely on the sea for their livelihood. And the poetic dialogue and dialect that Synge uses here is the Hiberno English dialect, which is the dialect of the Aran Islands, and it contributes to the play's poetic and dramatic quality. So this brings much originality to the characters of the play. And we see that when the characters are interacting within themselves, when Kathleen and Nora are talking among themselves, when they are talking with Moria, or when the priest is related to, always the dialogues bring out something that is very necessary to the plot of the play. And the play does not have any subplots. Anything, any of the characters is speaking between themselves just enhances the plot and enhances the theme of the story. And there is a tragic nature in the play which shows the characters' helplessness and the destructive power of the sea. And somewhere this sends a message of universal themes of loss and the fate of human struggle against the forces of nature. Now, what is the significance of the title? The title Riders to the Sea. You see, riders. Riders is not a very common term which is related to the sea. We say sailing in the sea, but here riders to the sea. So the very introduction of the word riders creates an unnaturality and strategy of doom and death in the future. Because Bartley is not shown as a fisherman or sailor, but a rider. And he is an offender. Offender, why he is an offender? Because he listens to nobody and goes into the sea. So that he is here predestined to a fruitless extinction. He dies for nothing. And here, that's why the term riders, like here, it enhances the significance of the thought that is tried to be shown in the play by Synge. And it also can be said that every character in the Riders to the Sea, like Kathleen, Nora, Bartley, and even Moria, they are part of an elemental journey. What is the journey? The journey to the sea of eternity, where everybody should exist. And here, Kathleen, Nora, and Bartley are representing the starting points of such spiritual voyage, because we see Kathleen and Nora preparing things for Bartley so that he can go to Galway and eat the cake. They are making preparations, and this is the starting point of riding the sea of eternity. But we see through Moria's resignation at the end, Moria's spiritual attainment and her anagnosis or his realization of what? That there has to be death. And the spiritual voice, the conscious of apparent reality, that whatever happens, whatever starting there is, there should be an ending, and we have nothing to do. We have to be riders in the journey, and those riders who meet the climactic range, reaches the climactic stage and succumbs to the human mortality, succumbs to the nature of mortals that we human beings are. That is the spiritual voyage of Moria, which she reaches at the end. So we see that Riders to the Sea is a significant title to see here. And also through this short one-act play, life is shown to be a short ride, which each of us ride in our own way, and we are always chased by death, death behind us. So it is not only for the people who live in the Aran Islands, it is not only for Maurya. Yes, for Maurya, it has been more enhanced because she lives in an area where basically their life depends on the sea. But for everyone, death comes behind. We are all short time riders into this universe. And this is what Maurya realizes at the end, and that is what pacifies her. She says that everybody and everything should be ending at last. So all men are, after all, riders to the same unforgiving sea in which all are riding. Maurya and her family literally in the sea, and we in that illusion of sea. So, Riders to the Sea is a appropriate title that has been given for we all are riding towards a predestined end. Now, the use of language in the play, as we have seen, and when you read the play, you will see that there are sentences which do not have a verb or which are not grammatically correct. This has been introduced by Synge intentionally to bring out the originality of the rural Irish community. So, the standard English is not present in the sentence structure. There are grammatical deviations, and the language here represents the Hiberno-English language of the Aran Islands. So the characters use words and spaces that are very much akin to the Aran Island dialects. And the sentences tend to be very short, they are grammatically informal, and there are instances of improper usage of verbs. There are verbs omitted, there are the pronoun placements are not okay, and there are short phrases which may seem to be incomplete to us. So here Synge incorporates the poetic elements into the dialogues using repetition, using imagery to bring in a sense of drama and emotion. So there are some phrases which are repeated constantly by the characters, and the play employs some figurative language also to express the emotion of the characters, like you have read the allusion of bride Dara, you have read about Samhain. So all these are introduced to bring in the symbolic. We will of course discuss in details the symbolism of the play. So here the use of language is also such that it like enhances the originality of the play, and she will be like we are to find out if Michael's they are dialectical sentence, it and they are used in relation to the clothing bundle. So there are sentences, I have given examples of sentences here where some things, some parts of speech are missing, like I seen the fearfulest thing, missing verb, it should be I have seen. So these are some of the examples that I have taken from the play. You will find more as you read the play properly. Symbols, there are a lot of symbols in the play. It is a simple plot which expresses a lot of emotion. The sea plays an important role. It represents death and evil. Despite being a beautiful part of nature, the wind gives a sense of great unknown, because you have seen, because of the strong winds, the boat overturned. There are a lot of misfortunes that are happening because of the strong winds. The sea is a source of living for the people because they catch fish and collect seaweed for survival. But it is also responsible for their death. So, an island which is off the Aran Islands, it is seen as a small area. So, life is seen as a small area surrounded by evil. So, the small area is symbolic of the family, and the sea is symbolic of the evil that is being done to that small family. So, it is an evil force for Moria, but it is also symbolic of their existence. So, we see that to prevent another sorrow for herself, Moria is trying to convince Bartley for staying safely in the house. But her endeavor fails and she loses him also. So, Moria at the end accepts the inevitability of death. The colors red, black, white and grey stand as omen or signs of death that await Moria. You have seen the mention of red and grey pony. You have seen the mention of black when the black is mostly used for death and grief, and in the play when Bartley asks for a rope from Kathleen, she says that it is hung it on the nail with white boards. For the pig with the black feet was eating it. So here you see the pig with the black feet, that this colored black is symbolized, and also white is symbolized. So the negative sense of white and black is of course always related to death and grief. So the pig also is identified as having the black feet. White is used for life and happiness, but white has its negative implications too. That's why the coffin, the planks of woods were white boards for which the coffins, with which the coffins were needed to be made. So the pig with black feet represents death, whereas the rope that Bartley takes with him and was intended to be used for Michael's burial represents life or hope for Moria. So when Bartley takes the rope with him, there was some hope that Bartley would go for some work and come back. There was a hope along with the coloration, along with the black symbol of death. There was some hope also associated with white. When the negative connotations of white are considered, such as paleness, ghosts and spirits, or its positive connotations of divinity and sacredness, it can be stated that the white boards that remained visible throughout the play are a representation of a shadow of death over the household. So here you see white may be considered as having some hope and happiness, but also from the beginning of the play throughout we see the white planks of wood visible. So they as if stand in a symbolic way to show that all through the time death was overshadowing. So the negative connotation of white is also perhaps symbolically shown here. The red color of the horse Bartley and the grey color of the pony that follows him signify the same concept. Like red, you know, is the color of danger, and grey is the color of death, and also the color of grief. So these colors signify or symbolize the death, impending shadow of death that was covering the whole family from beginning till the end. And here, to say more of the symbolism, after seeing the moment, the vision where Bartley was seen riding the red pony and Michael following him, Moria knew that she was going to lose her last son, and from there only she started to accept in her mind that there is no power that can stop the death. So her soul is at peace when she sees Bartley's body brought in. She does not react in a way that is very in a very hyper way or crying a lot. She accepts it as the death of the last male member of the family, for which the peace that she was to attain has been attained. What peace? The peace of realization, that spiritual realization where she sees that death cannot be stopped, the catastrophe of death cannot be stopped, and she had reached such a state after losing everything that she has that power to accept whatever has come, because she has realized that there is nothing more to lose, and also everybody is mortal and everybody has to face this same end at the last. The symbol of tragic heroism in this play is, we have mentioned again and again that, like when you have done your semester 3 lesson also, when you read this play once in semester 3 also, we have discussed that it is a norm that old people die and their things are used and carried down to the younger ones. But here Moria is seen to carry Michael's stick. So here it's just the opposite. So such contradictory imagery establishes as a subsequent vision that also helps in her realization or revelation of the double ritual of birth and death. So birth and death are impending. It has to happen. But this contradiction is a symbol that the existence of a principle of necessity to emerge from a state of submissive defeat to one of dignified awareness, that there is no rule that the aged should die only at first. It may happen so that the younger one has, due to some circumstance, succumbed to death. So that stick is a symbol of the realization that Moria begins to accept or begins to feel. That's why even if she is feeling sad, she is carrying her dead son's stick, which she knows her son is missing, but of course we know that her son is already dead, as confirmed by the two sisters. So here we see the three women. I had seen you at the beginning of the slide, three women who are sitting there. So the three women, Kathleen, Nora, and Moria, they are presented as an analogy that is ironic because of their inability to control destiny. So Kathleen is seen most of the time as spinning the wheel, and the attention that is given to the drop stitches recalls the classical analogy in persistent way throughout the play. So you know, the sisters, they identified the socks of Michael from the 56 stitches. So they say there were 60 stitches, but they dropped 4 of the stitches, and that's why the 56 stitches. Those are very classical things, that very minute details which are symbolic of the resilience that the involvement of the sisters and the three women, they are how bonded they are to each other. So these are the persistent symbols which enhance the bonding of these women, of these three women. And the whirling of the wheel we see again and again, but when the wheel is suddenly stopping, that is creating an ominous interplay of urgency. And they are, when they are stopping the, when Kathleen is stopping the stopping to spin the wheel, Nora comes in with the clothes. So a tension is intensified, that they feel anxious whether the dead sailors' clothes are their brothers. So the pattern of fate here, the symbols here used here, they are consequently in the form of Kathleen. She asked for a knife to cut the black knot. When the bundle was being opened, she asked for a knife, and the knot was also the black knot. And we have already discussed how the black color is an omen of death and grief. So we see here that the ominous shadows of Clotho, Laches, and Spinner, who started the thread of life. Laches measured and determined its length, and Atropos cut the thread, thus ending a person's life. So here, you know, the three women, they signify the ominous shadows of the three women that I have showed you in the pictures. They are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, who through their activities signify the ending of a person's life. So here also, the black knot which they are opening and seeing, that also symbolizes the death of Michael. That also confirms the death of Michael. Then there are biblical echoes. There are specifically Christian, classical and Christian expressions in the play. Like bread is a universal symbol of sacrament. The bread or nourishment or food, that the cake which at the beginning the sisters forgot to give to Michael, to Bartley when he was going to Galway Fair, and then they sent their mother Moria, who also failed to give her blessings to Bartley also and delivered the cake to Bartley also. So what signifies nourishment, again and again they fail to deliver to Bartley. So that also gives a symbol or an omen of death that was overshadowing Bartley's journey. So here, Moria's failure to give the bread which she has taken to Springwell for Bartley becomes a negation of sacrament. So it's a negation, it's a negative implication of nourishment. So when you don't get nourishment, physical or spiritual, you go into the grasp of death. So that is what happened to Bartley also. Then there is the symbolism of water. Here, Moria is seen sprinkling water over the dead body of Bartley. So that is also that is a Christian symbolism which is placed in an ironic context, because the drops of holy water that become reminiscent of the insatiable appetite of the sea and remind us of the meaningless words of assurance uttered by the young priest. You remember the priest said that no, he won't stop Bartley from going to the Galway fair. Why? Because he thought that Moria, being a religious person, prays to God and God will not leave her destitute. But whatever holy things that Moria did could not save Moria from facing the death of the entire male members of the family. So when she sprinkles holy water in Bartley's body, it signifies that she is still religious. Even after the death, she has accepted her fate and not given up faith on God. So, next is the nets and oil skins, that the oil skins represent the sea as a source of sustenance. So the nets shown here, the oil skins that are necessary for going into the sea. Of course, that is also a symbol that the sea is not only a representation of the evil, but also a representation or symbol of a source of sustenance. So here we see that the sea is a symbol of sea that creates a symbol on atmosphere of entrapment. You cannot ignore the sea. You have to go into it, even if it gives you grief. You have to be in it for your sustenance and livelihood. So, all along what we have discussed here, in summary, we say the sea is a symbol in the play, of course. What is it a symbol of? It is a symbol of life and livelihood. It is a symbol of death and destruction, fate and inevitability, and also universal drama. What grief is represented through the sea as a symbol in the play is also the theme, highlighting the themes of loss and death into the in the face of adversity by human being, and human being everywhere has to fight against these adversities of nature to survive. So this play here, the sea, though a symbol here in the play for struggle between human and human life and human sustenance, also reflects the broader picture of human beings facing adversities of nature for living or sustaining their lives. Now we see here the character analysis of Moria. Moria in Riders to the Sea is a deeply tragic figure. She is an elderly widow and she has suffered huge loss at the hands of the sea. But still, she is composed and she embodies a life on the Aran Islands, where the sea is both a source of livelihood and also her enemy, because the sea has constantly given her grief and taken away all the good things from her life. But Moria's resilience and acceptance of faith, even in the face of overwhelming grief, makes her a powerful symbol of human endurance. So, Moria's story, though of suffering, is marked by is one of suffering, which is marked by the death of her husband and her husband's father, her 4 sons at sea before the start of the play, and 2 sons after we read the play. She is portrayed as a woman worn down by hardship, but still she is very very victorious in attaining spiritual acceptance of mortality of human being. So at the end, she is a person who realizes that grief and death are inevitable parts of the human suffering or the human mortality. So that's why, in spite of her loss, Maurya shows remarkable resilience. She accepts her fate and quiet resignation, even when it means witnessing the death of her last remaining son. So that's why after Barclay's body is brought in, we see her very calm and quiet. That is representation of her acceptance. Maurya transcends her tragedy and becomes a symbol, a representation of the enduring spirit of mortals in the face of adversity. Why mortals? Because she in her speech mentions that everybody should die. So this is just another death. So this is the tragic wisdom she achieves, which she gets from the deep understanding of the sea and its destructive power. She realizes that she is nothing in front of the sea. She recognizes that loss in the sea is inevitable and she has to cope with it, because she had to leave her male members to the sea for them to nourish themselves for their sustenance. So, Synge transforms Maurya into a universal tragic heroine who represents and resonates with the cultural background, her suffering, and through her suffering, we see that an empathy is evoked in us, and perhaps that is the catharsis in the play. That is the catharsis or release of emotions that happen for Maurya also. Because of this catharsis, she will be living her life peacefully, and in her own words, has put it like that she does not have to worry anymore about any death. Now she can be more at peace with herself. So that is the catharsis, the spiritual realization that she has at the end of the play. And we see all the grief that she has faced has made her superstitious. She is a victim of nature, and naturally that's why she sees every symbol as a superstition. Superstitiously, Maurya expresses the fear that Barclay will die at the sea, because always she comes across some vision. She cannot bless Barclay when he goes away. So from whatever thing she is getting, whatever visions she is seeing, unfortunately all comes true to her. So that's why we see that whatever superstitious beliefs Maurya had about the death of Barclay comes true. So here the sense of superstition just generates a mystery and suspense, which adds to the overall effect of the drama. Now here are some sample questions, some descriptive type questions. I have given only some sample questions. There are many which are there in the play, and there are many lines from which can be quoted from the text, and like questions can be given from them for you to answer. So what I always say, I would repeat again, that go through the play very carefully, read all the lines very carefully, and have the whole play in your grip so that you are ready to answer any question that comes from any part. And for a better understanding of the play, you can answer these questions also. And if you have any questions to ask, I think you have some option in the comment section. There you can ask and we can get back to you with those answers. So thank you, students, for your attention. Hope you have a good learning session. Hope you learn something from the play that we have gone through. The most important message being that we all have hardships, and some of our hardships are fiercer than the hardships of others. So what we need is having a good, empathetic view of all the people who exist in this world, so that we all together can make the world a safer and better place. Thank you very much.